Okay, so if you've been following the news at all lately, you've probably felt that little knot of anxiety. AI is coming for our jobs.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that narrative is everywhere.
Yeah.
And the polls reflect lots of people are genuinely worried about job losses.
But the thing is, when you actually dig into the latest research, the picture is, well, it's a lot more complicated than just AI takes jobs. It's not quite happening like that, at least not yet.
Exactly. It's less about mass replacement right now and more about this really interesting kind of uneven productivity boost. It's changing what skill even means.
That's what we wanted to unpack today. We've got some pretty hefty sources lined up, studies from MIT Sloan, NBER, Stanford HAI.
Right. The goal here is to look past the headlines, get into the actual data, and see how generative AI, the GPTs and similar models, is really impacting different kinds of workers.
And what jumped out immediately is this idea of a jagged technological frontier. That's the term they used, right?
Yeah, it's a great way to put it. AI is amazing at some things, boosting performance like crazy. But for other tasks, it can actually make things worse.
And crucially, it seems like it's often substituting for human effort more than it's really complementing our judgment on complex stuff. That feels like a really big deal.
It is. And to really get a handle on that, we have to start with the productivity gains because honestly, some of the numbers are pretty eye-popping, especially for skilled workers.
Okay, let's start there then. That MIT Sloan study looked at high-level knowledge workers, didn't it? People doing complex tasks.
Yeah, exactly. Things like brainstorming a whole new product idea, coming up with marketing slogans, writing a substantial, like 2,500-word article, real professional work.
And what was the headline finding there?
A massive boost. They found GenAI could improve performance, speed, and quality by almost 40% compared to similar workers not using the tool.
40%, that's not just incremental, that's a step change.
It really is. We're talking about fundamentally speeding up people who are already pretty good at their jobs.
So the experts get a superpower, basically. But here's where it gets weirdly disruptive, right? It's not just helping the top tier, it's also acting like a shortcut for beginners. The skill leveling thing.
Yes. The NBER study on customer service agents is the clearest example. These were agents mostly outside the U.S., a lot in the Philippines.
Okay.
And giving them access to an AI assistant dramatically shortened the learning curve. Get this. Agents with just 2 months on the job performed as well as agents who didn't have the AI, but have been working for over 6 months.
Wow. So 2 months equals 6 months plus. That basically flattens the traditional experience curve.
Pretty much. Think about training costs, ramp-up time. It changes the whole equation for bringing new people on board. Suddenly, that long slog to build up basic knowledge gets compressed.
But it's leveling, you said, not just lifting everyone equally.
That's the key counterpoint from the same NBER study. For the most experienced top-performing agents, the AI tool had minimal positive impact. Sometimes it even decreased the quality of their interactions slightly.
Huh. Why would that be? If you're already good, why would the tool hinder you? Is it just getting in the way, or?
Well, it ties back to what we mentioned earlier, the effort substitution. If the AI gives you a pretty decent answer, 9 times out of 10.
You just use it. You stop thinking quite as hard.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Your brain does a quick cost benefit.
Why should I spend the mental energy refining this or double-checking it when the AI's output is usually okay? It becomes a shortcut for effort.
And that's where the potential downside creeps in. Because we actually have data on people not editing the AI's output, don't we?
We do. It's pretty stark. One survey found 68%, 2/3 of participants admitted they submitted ChatGPT's first draft without any edits.
68% just copy-paste without checking facts, tone, anything.
Exactly. No critical overlay, no applying their own expertise. Just send.
That's slightly terrifying. You're essentially outsourcing your thinking to a tool makes mistakes sometimes just because it saves effort. What does that do long term? That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Are we building a workforce that's losing its critical thinking muscle because the easy path is so easy now?
Like the GPS analogy, you rely on it so much you forget how to read a map?
Precisely. You get the immediate win productivity, but the hidden cost might be the erosion of judgment. And that leads us right into this jagged frontier problem. What happens when you trust the AI on stuff it's just not good at yet?
Right, that boundary between tasks AI nails and tasks where it completely fumbles.
Exactly. So that same MIT Sloan study that showed the huge 40% boost, That was for tasks inside the frontier things the AI could handle well.
Okay.
But they also tested tasks outside the frontier things needing genuinely new ideas or complex, non-standard approaches.
And how did that go?
Performance plummeted. When people used AI on those tricky, novel tasks, their performance decreased by 13 to 24 percentage points compared to people doing it without AI.
So using the AI actually made them worse on complex stuff.
Right. Because of that reliance factor again, the researchers said people would, and I'm quoting here, kind of switch off their brains and follow what AI recommends.
And on those complex tasks, the recommendation was more likely to be wrong.
Exactly. And the human wasn't engaging critically to catch the error. The tool's speed on simple things becomes a trap on complex things.
We're seeing this play out in the real job market too, right? Like that example from Poland you found.
Yeah, the 2025 forecast for IT technicians in Poland, it's showing much tougher competition. They expect a surplus of candidates in way more counties than before 51, up by 20.
And they linked that directly to AI.
Directly. They said widespread AI use is cutting demand for junior-level IT roles, the stuff AI can automate easily, while at the same time, employers are raising the bar, demanding more experience and specific tool knowledge for the jobs that remain.
So the entry-level rung of the ladder is getting sawed off. That's happening in IT, which we usually think of as a high-growth area. That's concerning.
It is. It suggests that middle tier, the junior roles in many knowledge fields, could be facing a real squeeze. Think basic coding, marketing copy, standard legal docs. If it's repeatable, it's vulnerable.
But wait, if the AI models are getting so much better, hear about GPT-4, these new O1 models acing tests, and the cost is dropping like a stone, why is there still this jagged frontier? Why can't they handle complexity yet?
That's a really good point. And yes, they are getting better on standardized benchmarks like AIM for math or MLU for general knowledge. Big gains there.
Right.
But those tests often measure recall or fairly structured single-step problems.
Yeah.
When you look at tasks needing real-world, multi-step reasoning, browse the web, pull info from different places, synthesize it, apply judgment, the limits are still very clear.
Is there a way to measure that kind of complex reasoning?
Yeah, there's a benchmark called GIA, General AI Assistance. It's designed specifically for these complex multi-step tasks that mimic real work.
And how does AI do on GIA?
Well, humans scored 92% on it.
Okay, pretty good for us.
Yeah.
And the AI.
Even the advanced models like GPT-4, with all the bells and whistles, web browsing, plugins, and everything, only scored 15%.
15 versus 92.
Yep. It's a huge cap.
Yeah.
It shows that truly complex, open-ended reasoning is still very much a human capability right now.
That's a critical reality check. But you mentioned cost.
Ah, yes. Despite those limitations on complex reasoning, the cost is collapsing. Getting GPT 3.5 level performance cost 280 times less in October 2024 than it did just 2 years earlier, in late 2022.
280 times cheaper.
Insane, right? And that means adoption is going to keep accelerating like mad, even with the GAIA-type limitations. It's just too affordable not to use for simpler stuff.
That affordability really is the driving force. Okay, let's pivot then. How is this wave of adoption playing out differently around the world? Are countries using AI in the same way?
Not at all, actually. There's some interesting analysis looking at usage of models like Claude that shows clear patterns based on sort of the economic context.
How so?
Well, in countries with generally lower overall AI usage, maybe less developed digital infrastructure, things like that. The tasks people give the AI tend to be heavily focused on coding. And crucially, it's often full delegation.
Meaning they just tell the AI, build this program and expect it to do the whole thing.
Pretty much, handing off the entire task.
Yeah.
But in countries with higher overall usage, the commands are way more diverse. Education, science, business tasks, and the focus shifts. It's more about supporting the human.
Using it like a research assistant, maybe, for gathering info?
Exactly. Knowledge acquisition, synthesis, it's treated more like a co-pilot to help the human, not a replacement pilot to do the whole job.
Any theories on why that difference exists? Cost of labor, skill levels?
Probably a mix of things. But it could be that in higher usage markets, workers are more experienced with these tools. They understand the limitations that you used to do with. They use it more strategically. In lower usage markets, maybe they're trying to use AI to leapfrog certain skill gaps, leading to that delegation pattern.
Okay, that makes sense. So that's how it's being used. What about the people actually using it day to day? How are workers feeling about all this? Are they excited, scared?
Ipsos did a big global survey on this.
Mm-hmm.
Most people, 60%, definitely see AI changing their jobs significantly in the next 5 years.
Okay, so awareness is high, but are they expecting to be replaced?
Less so. Only about 36% think AI will actually replace their job entirely within 5 years. That's still a lot, but it's much lower than the number who expect change.
So they see it more as a tool that changes the work rather than eliminates it.
Seems that way. When asked about the benefits, the top answers were practical. Saving time, 55%, and even boosting entertainment, 51%.
Interesting. Entertainment.
Yeah, maybe using it for fun outside work or making tedious tasks less boring. But notice, confidence in AI helping the overall job market, 31%, or even their own job positively, 37%, is actually lower. People trust it to save them time more than they trust it to boost the economy or their career.
Pragmatic, maybe even a bit skeptical about the bigger picture. Now, with any disruption this big, governments usually step in. What's the regulatory landscape looking like?
It's heating up fast. Globally, we're seeing a real push for legislation. The EU's AI Act is the big example, obviously a comprehensive framework.
All right.
But it's not just the EU. Even countries like Russia passed multiple AI-related laws just in 2024. There's a growing global consensus that something needs to be done.
Guardrails are needed, basically. Is that happening at lower levels too, like in the U.S.?
Absolutely. It's not just federal. A survey in 2023 found almost three-quarters, 73.7% of local U.S. policymakers, like city and county officials, support regulating AI. So there's agreement across different levels of government that this needs attention.
Wow. Okay, so we've gone from individual productivity boosts and drops to global adoption patterns, worker feelings, and now the regulatory reaction. It's a lot to take in.
It really is. But if you boil it down, the core tension seems to be this. AI is making novices effective much faster. That's the skill leveling. It's also giving huge efficiency gains to experts.
Right.
But, and it's a big but, it's potentially hauling out that middle tier, the junior roles. And it introduces the serious risk of poor judgment. When people blindly trust it on complex tasks, it just can't handle well yet.
And despite all the fear, the jobs haven't vanished wholesale. The sources suggest we still have plenty of jobs in the industrialized world. The challenge seems to be shifting towards the quality and distribution of work, right?
Exactly. The tech will keep getting cheaper and better. It'll become ubiquitous. But whether that leads to broadly shared prosperity or just widens the gap, that comes down to the choices we make. The institutions, the policies, the incentives we put in place. It's not just about the tech itself.
Okay, so maybe the final thought for everyone listening is this. The research shows even smart, skilled people can get tripped up, perform worse, when they trust AI too much on complex problems. So maybe the most critical skill going forward isn't just knowing how to use AI, but developing the judgment to know exactly when to switch it off, put the tool down, and rely entirely on your own human brain.